Herdling is the latest game from Okomotive, who brought us the Far series, and it's out this week, so thanks to the devs and PR for sending over a code to me. The game is quite short and it's got a fairly simple trophy list, so this will be more of a chill kind of video where we can just talk about the game while earning the platinum, because I'm still quite conflicted on if I think the game works or not. In Herdling we play as this boy, and very soon we find something stumbling in the distance. We pick up a branch and help out the creature, so we can now tame an animal called a calicorn. Which we name Nift. After giving it some pets, we can use R2 to herd it in the opposite direction from us, and we head through the city. I was still getting to grips with the controls, so we ended up walking into the first traffic cone that we saw, and this will be relevant later. For some reason, I wasn't able to just hold down R2 to continuously herd, but I quickly worked out that I just need to push R2 whenever I want to change direction. We pushed this gate to find another calicorn by the name of Jason. And we herded them both through here to find Tomodachi, our third calicorn. And of course we had to greet our new friends by petting them. I tried to push them further through the city, but they were enamoured by this poster of calicorns on a mountain, and this sets up our mission of the game. We need to take them there, finding as many calicorns along the way. So from the grim city streets, we follow the light and end up in the countryside. Now, the game is quite formulaic. You walk through a slow area like this and solve very light puzzles, and then you'll be unleashed into these wide open areas and use these blue flowers to speed boost your way through them. The game does have collectibles, but as I found out, none of them are hidden in these sections, which allows you to just kind of turn your brain off and head forward with your calicorns. So I've never actually played the Far games, but I'd always assumed they were gritty, light survival games, so I expected this game to be like that. The calicorns would need to be fed, they could die easily, there would be many monsters you have to avoid or maybe even fight, but it's at this moment I realised this game was going to be a journey-like. It's been 13 years and we still don't have a good name for that genre, but what I'm talking about is a game that takes you on an emotional adventure through an amazing landscape with an amazing score. Games are maybe weak in their gaminess, but excel everywhere else, and I think this game is just a poor version of that archetype. I do like the score here, but the game is just a bit ugly and doesn't perform great, and herding just isn't as satisfying as surfing down a sand dune or skating through a forest. I don't think the game is bad, but I'm a sucker for these type of games and I just never felt that magic while playing this. And what made this comparison even worse is that one of my most anticipated games of the year, Sword of the Sea, which is a bona fide journey-like, just launched 2 days ago and it looks fantastic. I feel like it would be hard to recommend this when you could be playing that instead, but honestly this might just be a personal thing because the game does seem to be connecting with people and I'd love to hear what you guys think if you end up playing it. Now that I'm off my soapbox, we can take our calicorns through this old rail yard with rusted barbs we have to avoid, and by pushing this cart and pulling the lever we get some shelter from the rain. However, we also find a sick calicorn who looks like he's caught himself on one of the spikes, but we can feed him some fruit to nurse him back to full health. His name is Dawn, and this scared calicorn is called Tashi, and we can now use our new friends to create a path for our old friends. And with our herd of 5 calicorns, we light the fire and get everyone around it to head to bed. Because in chapter 3 we'll be heading into the autumn forest. Now, while I said the game doesn't look amazing at all times, it does have its moments, like when we pass this pond and hang out with the ducks. And along our adventure, we can find some objects to decorate our friends. We find another lone calicorn stuck behind a fallen tree, and I do want to quickly shout out the random name generator in this game because I used it for all but my first calicorn, and I always managed to find a name that spoke to me or just fit well. This is Maya. Onwards. Something I haven't mentioned is that for the Platinum, we need to get to the end of the game without any of our Calicorns dying, and this made the clumsy gameplay feel even more clumsy. We have to avoid these spikes, but because the herd doesn't clump up, it's almost impossible to actually get these guys to the top of the hill safely. If a Calicorn gets hurt, you can heal them, but I thought this one just felt a bit unfair, so I reloaded my save here. Turns out slow and steady does not win the race. After contesting the top of the hill, we find an older Calicorn waiting for us. And after healing its wounds, we can find out its name is Appa. Because we had a thematic event, I wanted to make sure that everyone was okay, so we played some Tetris and we'd now pet them 10 times. We found a clearing where we could have a rest, and I got trophies for cleaning all the Calicorns, throwing a ball 3 times, and finding our first harness, which is one of the few collectibles in the game. But in the morning, we were woken by a Calicorn fleeing from a bird, which was repelled by our resting site. We brought them back to full health and found out his name is Jabari. The only way forward is through the dark forest where the birds live. This is a stealth section where if we hit too many of these totems, we'll wake up the bird and they'll attack. This is another kind of awkward moment, but they did listen to me better now. So we managed to get through the entire forest without alerting any of the birds. We entered out into another valley to have a run about before finding a ferry. And on it, a new Calicorn named Samuel. One thing I did quite like about the movement in this game is that sometimes you'd have the choice between going on a slower path or just stampeding up a big hill. However, the trophy and collectible side of my brain always had to backtrack down that path anyway, just in case. But after walking back up that slow path, we got another trophy for using the Calicorn's power to find a painting in the cave. We traversed over some treacherous mountains and up another big hill to get to the mountain range. This is where we found our 10th Calicorn named Pascal. And we also had a harness to give him. We were almost at the top of the mountain, and this is maybe one of the most beautiful parts of the game, but the bird is back. And he was chasing our new friend Anish. We snuck our way past all the birds, but now the only way forward is through all these totems, so the only choice is to run as fast as we can. We dodged all of the birds until... The bird ends up getting bored and leaves us alone, but we have to gather our team and make sure everyone is okay. We healed everyone up and made on our way, but little did I know I had missed one of the 6 harnesses we need to find, which was just on our left here. In the next area we're trying to find a way through, we followed this ghost to find another injured Calicorn, and we got a trophy for healing 10 of them. And another for finding every Calicorn. His name is Kiki, by the way. With all our Calicorns in tow, we started to climb the mountain, but first we need to avoid these pits that appear in the snow. And our journey was stopped by an injured bird, the only enemy in the game so far. To continue on, we're going to have to help it out. Maybe we can get along after though. At the second last resting point, we find the final harness and we get a trophy for decorating 5 of our calicorns with him. But we'll need to come back afterwards to grab the one that we missed. Our long and treacherous journey was almost over as we crested this hill to enter the snowbound pass. In a moment very similar to the end of Journey, we need to head up this cold, windy mountain while once again avoiding any pits that we might fall into. Eventually the snow got too much for us, but the friendship that we've shown throughout the game was given back to us. And Pascal the Calicorn offered to give us some help. After awkwardly herding the Calicorns for the past 3 hours, they herd me, and we speed our way through the mountain, back down through a forest, into an open clearing, before we're led into a forest grove. Here, just like every resting point we found on our journey, we can build and light a fire, and I get the trophy for not letting anyone die. After spending some time just hanging out, we call over the Calicorns for the final time and go to sleep. Technically I could have platinumed the game in one playthrough, but now we have to go back and get the handful of trophies that I did miss. So the game doesn't actually have a built-in chapter select, however you can start a new game from any chapter, but the remaining trophies I need to get are quite quick anyway, so let's just speed through them. First off, we need to smash 10 cars in the first chapter, and we also need to get through the chapter without hitting any of these cones. This one actually did take a few attempts. In the first area when we go under this bridge, a train will spawn, and we get a trophy for racing it and entering the tunnel just after it. And they just kind of gave up at the end. Much better. Now all we had to do was replay the game and find the last harness. I ended up going back through my footage, counting the harnesses and looking at where I didn't go, and this is when I realised I'd missed this one after the bird attack. So I started a new game from this chapter, but when I picked it up, the trophy didn't pop, because it turns out you do need to find all of them on the same playthrough. So again, looking at my footage, I found that the first harness doesn't appear until chapter 3, so we can start there. We just sped our way through with no time to smell the roses. Finding harness 1, harness 2, 3, 4, the one I've missed, the 5th one, and finally, after our 5-hour adventure, we found the final harness. Thanks for watching this video, and if you've played the game yourself, let me know what you think. If you want to see more videos like this on all sorts of different games, then subscribe, and have a good one.